If you have a hiatal hernia and your worst symptoms happen at night, waking up with reflux, throat burning, chest pressure, heart palpitations, or just a sense of dread, this is not in your imagination. Nighttime is genuinely and mechanically the worst time for hiatal hernia patients, but nobody's ever explained to you why that is. It's not random, it's not what you ate for dinner. There's specific things that happen when you lie down that make your hiatal hernia more unstable. Once you understand the mechanics, this pattern that you've been living with for years starts to make sense. Today I'm going to walk you through why your hiatal hernia behaves differently at night, and for each reason, practical things you can do about it. So not just managing it, but really addressing it. So let's start with number one. Gravity disappears when you lie down. Now, what I'm showing here is the tip. But let's go back here. During the day, whether you're standing or sitting, as long as your torso is upright, gravity is helping pull down that stomach. But as soon as you lie down, then everything is going to push up. And obviously everybody loses the effect of gravity, but you're suffering because you have the hiatal hernia. You have the increased pressure in your abdomen. You have the stomach that likes to slide up, and the lower esophageal sphincter, it's just a valve in your lower esophagus that's already compromised. So tips for this: elevate the head of your bed 6 to 8 inches. Now there are right and wrong ways to do this. There's something called a bed riser, so that goes under the legs of your bed, and so you need help with this because obviously beds are heavy, or a wedge pillow, but that goes under your mattress. So we're not talking about just propping up pillows, because that actually makes it worse. You slide down and you actually make more pressure right where you don't need it. So it's very specifically a bed riser or a wedge pillow that's behind the mattress that then elevates you again. So much like when you're standing or sitting, your torso is upright and gravity is once again working for you. If you've spent years being handed off from one specialist to another, from a gastroenterologist to a cardiologist to a psychiatrist, giving you medication after medication, but not tying it all together, that's what we do here. My clinic exists to find what everybody else has missed. We see patients nationwide via telemedicine. In the description is the link to contact us. Let's go on to number two. So number two, eating too close to bedtime. And this is a big one. So when your stomach is empty, as it should be before you lie down to go to bed, versus when it's full. So a full stomach, or even partially full stomach, has a lot of pressure. And that pressure is not only making the stomach feel full, but that pressure is going up. This is that lower esophageal sphincter. It's just a valve. You've got two in your esophagus, and what they do is they're supposed to stay closed with a nice downward pressure unless food or drink are passing. They open for food or drink and then close again with a nice downward pressure. If you've had a sliding hiatal hernia for a long time, you've had a lot of acid reflux, that lower esophageal sphincter tends to be a little weak. Now, this hiatus, or the opening of the diaphragm, is right at the same level. So the diaphragm is your breathing muscle. It's also an organ. So where the esophagus passes through the diaphragm, that's the level of the lower esophageal sphincter naturally. And then the diaphragm itself has a sphincter that it's called a pinchcock system, but it's called a pinchcock valve, excuse me, that kind of pinches down, but it's a redundancy. It's a backup acid reflux prevention, or an anti-reflux barrier that your diaphragm has and your lower esophageal sphincter has. So they're backing each other up, preventing reflux. But when you go to bed on a full stomach, or even a partially full stomach, there's a lot of pressure, and that's pushing on the sphincter here and the opening of the diaphragm. So the tip I have here is no eating ideally 4 hours before bed. Now, so we're not getting horizontal, but if you tend to be, semi-recumbent or lying down on the couch before bed, it's the same thing, you're still lying down. So we need you to be upright. And what if you get really hungry? What if your blood sugar is unstable? Then just go to the protein, something like a protein powder, a whey protein isolate, if you do okay with that, or it's plant-based, but it's just protein in water. It's getting some calories, getting some good protein, but it's not heavy. The problem with carbs is they ferment, and that makes gas, that makes pressure. So we're creating a problem there. So we're also wanting to minimize liquids. So if you do a tea before bed to kind of help you relax, you want to back that up several hours before bed, because the liquids can be problematic for the same reason. So really go for that 4 hours before bed if you can. If blood sugar is unstable, just stay away from the carbs, stick with the protein. Okay, now let's go on to number 3, sleeping position. This is one that surprises a lot of people. Your stomach is kind of in a J shape, and the top of the stomach is where that lower esophageal sphincter is. That sphincter is right at the junction of where the esophagus and the stomach meet. So what happens is so this is the J, I have this in black, okay, so that's the stomach. When you sleep on your right side, what happens is the stomach shifts such that there's the J lying on its, tilted to the right. And you've got the lower esophageal sphincter here and the acid pool. So where the food and acid pools is here, and you can see it's lying above the sphincter. So when you're on your right side, acid is bathing that lower esophageal sphincter all night. Not what you want. Now, when you go to your left side, here's our J again, and because you're on your left side, now that lower esophageal sphincter is above the gastric pool. That's what you want. Gravity is helping you when you're lying on your left side. So, yes, you want the tip, sleep on your left side. Maybe you need a body pillow, because we move around in sleep. And if you're really used to being on your right side, you're going to have that. There's some nice, really big body pillows that will get in your way. And you'll just get used to it. You'll adapt to it, really make a big difference. So this is a habit worth working toward. Okay, so now let's go to number 4. We have your stomach emptying slows during sleep. Now that happens for everyone. The parasympathetic nervous system run by your vagus nerve slows digestion. And it's because you're not supposed to eat at night, you're supposed to rest, right? So what happens is you eat dinner and you get just a partial emptying because digestion is slow. Because you have a hiatal hernia, it tends to be slow. But then you go to sleep, and now you've got the slowed motion, which is natural during sleep. But because you only had the partial emptying, because either digestion needs to be enhanced, you're not digesting food as efficiently as you should, you didn't leave enough time, getting back to our 4 hours before going to sleep. But then fermentation, gas builds up because now food is sitting in the stomach, starts to ferment because it's moving too slowly, and you get a gas buildup. So we're back up here again with the gas, the pressure, and then around 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, you wake up with these symptoms, whether you're tasting acid or you're gasping for air, heart palpitations, etc. So the tip here is that we really want to get the motion through the stomach. We want to increase the motility before you go to bed. It's going to naturally slow, but if there's no food, then we don't have to worry about it. So 10 to 15 minute walk before bed. So you ate dinner, it's just a stroll. You're not jogging, okay? You're moving your body 10 to 15 minutes. It feels good. It helps with motility. It helps relax you. And again, don't lie on the couch, okay? So if you're watching TV or you're on your iPad, etc., you want to be sitting up or even standing and moving slowly. Okay, so that's the stomach emptying slows down during sleep. Last one, we're doing great. Morning cortisol. So cortisol is your adrenal hormone. It's a stress hormone, and you get a nice surge in the morning. You should have a nice elevation in the morning. But that morning surge can result in you feeling your worst first thing in the morning. And people get really confused about this. It's like, I just woke up. I ate nothing. I drank nothing. Why do I feel so terrible? So what happens is that gas has been building up at night. So you'll start to see how these all flow into one another. So the gas has been building up at night. Now you get a normal cortisol spike in the morning. That's normal. But that makes acid start to surge because your body's like, okay, we're awake, we're going to start the day, we're going to eat, and it's starting to produce acid. But that gives you a lot of morning symptoms because you're so subject to that acid coming up when it shouldn't. Realize your stomach is a bag of acid. It's supposed to be a bag of acid, but it's also supposed to stay in your stomach. But because you've got that weakened diaphragm, you've got that weakened lower esophageal sphincter, that acid comes up too easily. So what you want to do, no food for the first 30 minutes, and we're back to taking a walk. Now, I love a 1 mile walk at least in the morning. If that's too much for you, then at least take a 15-20 minute walk. And again, just a stroll, just get yourself moving, and that helps start to balance that morning cortisol. It regulates your cortisol by getting moving in the morning. You're not lifting weights, you're not doing, a lot of exertion. If you like to do that, that's totally fine. But I'm talking about at least to regulate cortisol, getting up and taking a walk. If you can do a full mile, that's wonderful. Okay, so those are our 5 explaining to you why your hiatal hernia is worse at night. So every one of these reasons that we've reviewed are mechanical. None of them are random. From elevating your bed, to not eating 4 hours before bed, to sleeping on your left side, remember that's a big one, to taking a walk after dinner, and also in the morning, taking a walk to regulate your cortisol. So these are things you can start doing tonight. But I want to be honest with you, these are things that are aggravating your hiatal hernia. They're not getting to the root cause of why you developed it in the first place. Vagus nerve irritation, this instability of the diaphragm and the LES, the lower esophageal sphincter, dysbiosis, which is too many bad guys in the gut versus good guys. All of these can be addressed. That's what we work with here at Root Cause Medical Clinic. So you don't have to keep managing and putting up with. We can actually get this resolved. You've been looking for answers for a long time. You're in the right place. I'll see you on the next one.